it's mixed. There are successes. I just want to say the work on the poor, work of Secretary Jun Evasco, the Cabinet Secretary, has very good programs to deal with poverty. Work of Secretary Judy Taguiwalo, the work of Secretary Paeng Mariano at the Department of Agriculture, one of the best ever, I think, that I have seen. The economic managers, Secretary Dominguez, Secretary Pernia, Secretary Lopez, they have been quite good and have really assured people. Secretary Tugade is beginning to, to assert, the work that they have to do to fix the traffic problem on all the different transportation problem. But there are also Secretary Pinal, wonderful record as far as I think. So you can see that there's a lot of energy and a vision and passion by the Duterte administration for some of these things. It's about inclusive development. Of course, the results of that we won't know for a while. The big fail, of course, the peace process is still, in flux, and I don't know, because that was until 2 weeks ago. That was one of the big pluses I would give to the Duterte administration, that they were able to begin to move forward in the peace process. That we're not sure. Hopefully, they'll go back to the negotiation table and fix whatever is troubling the peace process. But for me, the big fails are around the war against drugs, because it's the wrong strategy. It's bound to fail. Killing people does not solve the problem of drugs. It's a real problem. I support President Duterte's commitment to defeat the war on drugs, but he followed the wrong strategy. He trusted the wrong institutions, and now he's telling the military should do it. Forget it. The military will not do it. They're not allowed to do it. They're not allowed to do police action in the, to make it once in a while they can do police action, but to make it a permanent thing of the so he has to change track on that and make it about rehabilitation, make it a public health problem rather than a criminal problem. Corruption, I think, is still a big issue. It's really, people are telling us. And this is not really necessarily the people of Duterte. It's just that it's still everywhere. It was not solved by President Aquino's Daang Matuwid. It's still now here today. And there's unfortunately bad signals from the administration about that, like the acquittal, asking for the acquittal of Janet Napoles is
the immigration thing.
Amazing. The immigration thing, it's a huge issues now. And so for me, even the attack on Senator De Lima is a corruption thing. It's not right. It's a distorted thing. I would give him a 6. I would give him a 6, which is the rating I gave President Aquino also at this stage of his presidency. Later on, I would give President Aquino, the final grade of President Aquino will be 7.5 in my view. I would have said it was clearer 2 weeks ago with the peace process on track. I think I'm not sure now, because if the NDF peace process goes off track, that's very bad for the election. Hopefully, he will find his way around the drugs problem and find the right strategy. I think there's a serious problem that he has about what's this? I think the economy is fine. It's clear where he's going. Constitutional change, because that's going to be a major thing. But it's not clear to me where it's going. And maybe we have to be patient. He has to appoint people in his constitutional committee who will then write this new constitution for Congress to adopt. Hindi naman, 1 month pa lang. Because they only signed, the appointments have not been made, but there's already an EO creating it.
Yes.
But he's just signing. I guess maybe in Feb. I think so. It's all about the design of that federalism. For me, alam mo, federalism is nothing but regional governance. it's really just, in the context of the Philippines, it's not like the Americas. It is like having regional level governance, which we badly need. Guess what? What's the number one place in the Philippines that needs regional governance? Metro Manila.
Metro Manila.
Yeah, Metro Manila should be a federal state, diba? With powers at the level of the region. You cannot have a metropolis like this, the day-to-day and everything run by the mayors of smaller units. In a federal system, yeah. Well, if there's a change, yes.
Change in the charter.
That's why it has to be, yeah. Well, he has to have, the only time he can do this is before 2019. After the election, if he doesn't do this before the elections of 2019, we already elect another set of senators in 2019. Things will, and he will not be that popular anymore. Things will start to close.
Okay.
Not in relation to the EDSA.
Yes.
Because I don't think, unfortunately, the EDSA sort of movement has been captured by partisan politics, right? Liberal Party, President Aquino, the Aquino family. That's unfortunate because EDSA is much more than that for them. So that's why I don't think it's going to be it won't be a protesting. There might be a few people, etc., but I don't think it's gonna happen that way. Oh yes. I think Vice President Senator Marcos is the front runner for the 2022 elections, hands down. I cannot see anyone else. Well, more than anything, because there's no one else that has risen up. I would have thought VP Robredo would rise up, but she has been weakened, seriously weakened, both by external forces and also to some extent, some of the errors that she made, like leaving the cabinet for me was a big error, because that isolated her. She cannot go full blast yet as a politician because it's not an election season yet. But maybe she can recover. I don't know. I'm not gonna also say it, right? Binay was the sure winner in 2014, Then Grace Poe became the sure winner. I see that unfolding very well.
Very well.
Yes, because people have learned the lessons from the failure after Mama Sapano. So I think we will have a BBL law passed by the end of the year or early January after the budget has been passed. No. It's an autonomous region. And then when we create a federal system, some of the things that they're asking for that we cannot give them in the BBL can be given to them as a federal state. I think he likes Trump because he also knows that Trump doesn't care about human rights, doesn't care about, Trump only wants you to be on his side. But that's the problem because the president doesn't want us to be on the side of Trump with China. So, but I wouldn't advise the president to lower his guard with the U.S. because the U.S. laws on human rights are actually quite clear. So even if Trump likes him, many of the Republican senators will not, and congressmen will not necessarily be supportive of the Philippines. I think except for the style, I think he's been doing well on it because he moved us away from the U.S. A bit, but we're still very close to the U.S. on the ground, in reality. He made China, we had a rapprochement with China. I think some of his words are unfortunate and might be haunting us later on. especially in the legal case. But the decision is there; it will not change. So at this point particularly, I actually want us to be neutral between the U.S. and China, and I don't think we can rely on the U.S. if there's a fight with China. So we're pretty much on our own. In that case, it's better to have a rapprochement with China. Japan is very important, and I think he's also been faithful to. I mean, close to Japan. Some had said that he, that we have not taken advantage of this as much as we should by being too near to China. But I don't really know. It seems like the Japanese are happy with him too. Well, he has to now send the instrument of ratification prepared by the Department of Foreign Affairs to the Senate. The Senate must concur by 2/3 vote, and then it will now be deposited to New York. At that point, we become parties to the Paris Agreement. Yeah, I suppose they're just concerned we might be putting ourselves in a box because we promised to reduce emissions in our Paris commitment and Paris Agreement. And I suppose they're afraid that, that will limit our options. For example, they might think that coal is still an important part of our energy mix. That's actually short-sighted in my view. It's actually time to phase out coal, in the next couple of years, and eventually even close down some of the plants that we have put in. I mean, of course, there has to be replacement from renewables. We will also say, we should not do it unless the replacements are clear and they are cheap enough to be competitive, right? So, but I'm pretty sure it will happen, and so, but the Department of Energy understandably was nervous about that. So I respect that. I mean, it's important to do your due diligence for international commitments. That's what they say. But I'm pretty sure half of that will not be built, maybe less than half of that will not be built. As I said, you have to be farsighted, and it's kind of short-sighted to actually do that. No? But it will not be easy to implement our Paris Agreement, but it was conditional anyway. We said we will do this if we get support from developed countries. So they also have to pay for it. Developed countries will also have to pay for our transition to renewable energy, to better sustainable development policies. At this point, no. I mean, I think the president has actually said that coal has a part in this in the energy mix until renewables are cheaper and easier and etc. That's that's the important because it's gonna happen in 2 or 3 years time. I'm 100% sure.
2 or 3 years.
Yeah, it's a very fast transition out there. If you're following how energy is transforming, it's a pace that's very fast. And the important thing is we do not imprison ourselves. Huwag natin ikulong sarili natin. That's in Filipino. We do not nail ourselves to an absolute technology. Well, about climate justice, why are we doing this when we are not, the principal reasons for doing it? That's a good question. Are developed countries really going to help us? Is the money really there? He asked those hard questions, and those are important hard questions to answer. And the answer actually is the money is there, but not everything we want, and we have to work still to get the money. And the answer is Developed countries are also reducing their emissions, but it's not enough. You have to keep on fighting them, fighting to get them to reduce lower. Higher pala, to have higher targets.